Meantime, in his weekly address today, the president is warning that the economy will get hit hard if automatic spending cuts scheduled for next month aren't delayed.
The result could be a huge blow to middle-class families and our economy as a whole. If the sequester is allowed to go forward, thousands of Americans who work in fields like national security, education, or clean energy are likely to be laid off. Small businesses could be prevented from getting the resources and support they need to keep their doors open. All our economic progress could be put at risk.
The president called for a plan that would include some spending cuts as well as the elimination of certain tax loopholes and deductions, but Republicans are pushing back hard, saying they're done negotiating on taxes. One of those Republicans is Congressman Mac Thornberry from Texas. He introduced a proposal this week that would delay the cuts for a year while also delaying the implementation of Obamacare until 2016. That's a move the congressman says would save money. So with me now is that Congressman Mac Thornberry. Hello to you. Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.
All right, let's talk about, sir, what the House has done. It's already voted over 30 times to repeal some or all of Obamacare. That, as you know, has gone nowhere because Senate Democrats and the president are not going to go along with it. So what are your expectations? Do you really expect Democrats to go along with your plan?
Well, I think they should. Obviously, Obamacare is not going to be repealed while the president's in office. And at the same time, we know that more than half the states have said they're not going to set up the exchanges that are called for in Obamacare. So I don't know of anyone who thinks that the federal government is going to be ready to implement the full, all this program next year. So why not delay it for a couple years, give the federal government time to get its act together, and at the same time save more than twice the amount of money that would be saved with the sequester. So you actually, I think, would give the federal government a chance to do better on the health care, but also prevent the sorts of things that the president was just talking about.
Well, you say that they should do it. Will they do it, though?
I don't know. There's several options out there on the table. The House passed a bill twice last year to substitute these across-the-board cuts with targeted cuts in high-growth programs. A bill was introduced this past week by House and Senate members of the Armed Services Committee that says for every 3 federal employees who leave their job, just replace one of them. That saves the amount of money you need. My health care delay. There's several options out there to prevent the sequestration but still get the savings from the budget. So I don't really care which one they take, but they ought to do something.
Well, as you heard, the president this week attacked the GOP for failing to give any ground on the sequestration. Let's take a listen to that.
They recognize that the sequester is a bad idea, but what they've suggested is that the only way to replace it now is for us to cut Social Security, cut Medicare, and not close a single loophole. And I have to tell you, if that's an argument that they want to have before the court of public opinion, that is an argument I'm more than willing to engage in.
There you heard it, Representative Thornberry. The president says he is willing to go before the court of public opinion. Republicans have gotten into these fights before, recently over the battle over the fiscal cliff. And you know that Congress has a pretty close to rock bottom approval rating. So are you really confident that Republicans will win this debate?
Well, I'm confident that at least a lot of the Republicans are going to try to do the right thing for the country. You're exactly right. The country just went through 2 months of debate over the fiscal cliff. And part of that was the president got higher taxes that he's been seeking. That issue's decided. And so now we've got to deal with sequestration, which is coming up on March 1st. And I just laid out for you 3 options, none of which touch Social Security or Medicare, to save that much money that sequester would save or more. Well, so, there's a lot of options out there. The question is, does the president want to come in off the campaign trail and actually be a commander-in-chief?
You know, we're also showing a full-screen graphic as we listen to you talking about the possible side effects of sequestration, and that would include job cuts. I mean, would you rather have the sequestration, even if it costs this economy a lot of jobs, than to give ground to the president on taxes?
No, I don't want the sequestration, and I am concerned about job cuts. I'm even more concerned about what it does to our national security. You heard this week that our second carrier will not be in the Persian Gulf in the future. That's a sampling, I think, of what it will do to our military, and that, I think, is a primary concern. In addition, however, I got to say the domestic side of this is no good either. So you make cuts in FAA, the Bureau of Prisons, medical research. This across-the-board approach is not good.
Food inspectors in education, kids are going to be kicked out of Head Start programs. I mean, there's any number. Homeless people, 100,000 might be across this country, not given the kind of current housing that they have. I mean, there's a lot that would go into effect here. A lot of problems.
Exactly, and that's why there's, as I mentioned, at least 3 options I know of, and probably others, where you could prevent those things from happening, but still begin to get down the road to getting our fiscal house in order to deal with spending. Remember, the fiscal cliff deal didn't touch spending at all. And so that's what you've got to focus on to begin to make progress in our economic situation.
All right. Well, from Texas, Congressman Mac Thornberry, thank you for your time.